Hello, good afternoon. I apologize for my voice. I hope that you can hear me well. So, my name is Adriana Mutu. I'm a researcher and a lecturer at ESIC Business School in Barcelona, and I have other affiliations as well. And today I want to discuss briefly an issue that has become one of the defining challenges of the digital era. That is the pervasive spread of disinformation potential of blockchain technology to combat it. I became interested in this topic while I was writing a research report on the regulation of social media in elections in Europe for the Media and Journalism Research Center with the support of the delegation of the European Union to Lebanon. And I found this is a very interesting topic because blockchain can also be used to spread misinformation or can be used to mitigate the dissemination of false information during political campaigning. So if you're interested in the regulation of blockchain during elections, I recommend you to read this article. This is a very preliminary research. The objective is to explore how this technology can help journalism and can foster accountable and transparent media ecosystems. False manipulated content and coordinated disinformation campaigns undermine public trust. There's a lot of research written on this. They can distort democratic processes and threaten societal cohesion. So there's a lot of research on the application of blockchain across different fields. For instance, the use of blockchain technology in e-government operations, transatlantic relations and international economics, international development in European technological sovereignty and global AI governance, political activism, etc. There's a lot of criticism also in the literature. There are several papers discussing some of the critical aspects of blockchain, for instance, the immaturity of the technology, the lack of regulatory oversight, and the threat to governmental monetary control. So when it comes to journalism, blockchain technology is a game changer in strengthening the democratic function of the media and fighting information. This is a relatively novel theme that is consistently gaining scholarly attention. Proponents of this technology argue that blockchain can enhance democratic legitimacy, combat deepfakes, and when it comes to elections, it can reduce election tampering risks. As I mentioned, the role of blockchain in journalism remains underexplored, particularly concerning its potential to counter misinformation. This technology allows for the validation of media authenticity and the tracing of digital content back to its source. By recording original media documents on the blockchain, it becomes possible to expose forgeries and manipulation as the data is rendered mathematically immutable, thus preventing any tampering or destruction. I found a very interesting study analyzing how social media users, which are dissatisfied with censorship of content, they look towards new platforms that are censorship-free, including blockchain-based solutions and decentralized communication services. There are some there is an interesting project on Web3 technologies, which is undertaken by the Media and Journalism Research Center and the Web3, which is aiming to study the trend in how decentralized technologies can reshape media landscapes. So one important aspect in this discussion is a core characteristic of a blockchain, which is the transactional trust. Transactional trust, as it promises to supply a between complete strangers, generating transaction records that are stored across a network of computers, making them immutable by any single party. Blockchain's core feature, the ability to create an unalterable record of transactions, translates well to journalism. By recording every change and update to a piece of news on a blockchain, media organizations can provide a history of the content and modifications. And this process ensures that readers can trace the credibility of the information they consume, thus combating or mitigating the proliferation of fake news and misinformation. There are some other characteristics, for instance, so the data verification and authenticity, this is what can generate or foster trust in the media content. And one of the examples is Poet, which securely tracks content meta intellectual property and verifying authorship. Blockchain also allows for transparent, collaborative fact-checking processes. Multiple participants can verify information without relying on a central authority, reducing the risk of bias and enhancing credibility. A very interesting example is the FACT protocol, which is a community-governed Web3 initiative exemplifying how decentralized aggregate fact checkers globally, creating robust ecosystems for verifying news. So this is a good example, a fact protocol. And on their website, they published a white paper. They explain how they function, their principles, and they use blockchain technology as a tool to detect and combat the spread of fake news. Or the information is stored on a blockchain, it becomes a permanent, traceable, and immutable record, serving as a reliable reference for verifying the authenticity of news as information, making it easier to track and identify the author who might be spreading false information. So because blockchain is decentralized, it allows multiple participants to collaborate to fact check and verify the information in a transparent manner, allowing the users to track and see the source of content. Smart contracts, secure, tamper-proof, and transparent self-executive agreements are recorded on a distributed ledger, which is blockchain, are increasingly being adopted in the context of combating fake news. And in Europe, since 2017, the European Union was actually financing a very interesting project called Content Personalization Network, aiming to support different platforms and media companies to adapt these solutions for their operations. This smart contract, which is another feature enabled by blockchain, can enforce standards for sharing and distributing content. These smart contracts are increasingly used to detect deepfakes by analyzing metadata, identifying the origin of digital assets, and verifying their When it comes to combating misinformation in electoral context, well, we know that the rise of social media has amplified the spread of disinformation, particularly during the elections. And there is some research revealing that blockchain can mitigate these risks by validating information sources, safeguarding democratic processes from manipulation. In regions with fragile democracies, blockchain-enabled verification tools can play a crucial role in ensuring that electoral information remains accurate and tamper-proof. When it comes to regulatory considerations and challenges, well, the technology is promising. There's a lot of evidence suggesting that blockchain is a very good solution. However, the technology faces various barriers such as technological immaturity, lack of regulatory frameworks, and potential misuse in financial crimes. This is also very documented. So the complexity of scalability issues of blockchain systems pose significant difficulties requiring investment in both technology and expertise. And this for media organizations. Regulatory landscapes also remain fragmented. There are some regulations in the United States. There are some regulations in Europe as well. However, there are very different standards across different jurisdictions, complicating cross-media operations. Other critics also highlight concerns over blockchain with illicit activities, including money laundering and cybercrime. In conclusion, blockchain technology is not just a tool, but also it's a paradigm shift for journalism. It can offer pathways to restore public trust, ensure content integrity, and supporting a resilient media environment. And there's a lot of research to be done. To conclude, the literature specifically dealing with blockchain solutions for journalism, this literature is kind of scarce. So we have great opportunities ahead to look at very specific examples of blockchain solutions for different media organizations and see whether they have failed and why they have failed, or we can also see some of the positive examples, and we can analyze and check their effectiveness. I suggest you take a look on the Journalism and Web3 project, which is developed by the Media and Journalism Research Center. Because the research center is developing a very interesting project on media and blockchain and emerging technologies. And I think I'm good with my time for listening.